from PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcast that, some people write trip reports from vacations. Some people take pictures from their vacations. Well, tonight you'll get a bedtime story from with the details from a vacation that'll put you to sleep and put you at ease. And you say, I don't understand well, don't worry. Get settled in because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And here's a couple of ways we keep this podcast free for everybody. Hey, before we move on here, I just wanted to let you know, as I've been saying all year long, you matter. Your sleep matters. I'm here to help if I can, to keep you company and to take your mind off of stuff. And that means that you're important. It means that there's resources in the show notes if you need more support than just somebody to talk you off to dreamland. There's resources in the show notes you can connect with right now. And it also means supporting the lives and the mental health of members of our community. Right now, that means that Black Lives Matter and Black mental health matters, and working towards that's important. So there's links to organizations you could connect with if you've been impacted or you want to be a part of positive change. Those are all in the show notes, as well as the sponsors you're going to hear coming up, or you can find everything on our website at sleepwithmepodcast.com. Thanks. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The one part of the podcast I need you to hear, it's where I pop my peas, if you please, because I'm so excited about the listeners who support the sponsors. That helps me be here for you week after week after week after week, times 52 or however many weeks are in a year. Now, I want to thank Lola, who got some stocking stuffers from Native, Brittany, who connected with BetterHelp, and Callum, who got a relief band. And all of them let the sponsors know they heard about them on the podcast, amplified their support. I cannot thank you enough. Listeners like Lola, Brittany, Callum, everyone I've been mentioning year after year. If you got a blend jet, a relief band, an air doctor, you used Plush Care, let me know about it. Let the sponsor know about it. It this really works. So it really helps the show, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, Lola, Brittany, Callum. It's the first part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Second part is you getting the support you need. There's links to resources right in the show notes if you need help right now. Also, we're here to support the members of our community. Sleep With Me is based in empathy, compassion, and positive change. And right now, that means supporting Black lives and Black mental health. There's resources in the show notes you can connect with to start yourself on the journey of change and to being involved with the members of our community. And the final part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is something I'm supporting right now, and that's the Emotional PPE Project at emotionalppe.org to support everybody out there that's out there working on our behalves for us. We really do appreciate it, and we want to support all of you. That's emotionalppe.org, and that is the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone, which is now over. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episode. Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer, and Ashley. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. It's almost Christmas, y'all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support Dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. We're raising money for the Water Wheel Foundation, and Scooter might get a perm.
Thanks, Mr. Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. And, check out our merch store at Sleep Phones, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones. Use Sleep With Me for a discount. And what do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing? facing trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be thoughts, things on your mind you're thinking about, feelings, anything coming up for you emotionally or physically. It could be changes in time, temperature, schedule, whatever it is. Have I ever talked about hooting before? I mean, I don't know. Hooting's something. I'm reading a book with an owl in it. And I just thought of this terrible joke. What does an owl say? I just realized owls probably don't have toes. But what would an owl say if it had toes and it stubbed its toe? And that someone said, what letter does Linda start with? And they stubbed their toe as they were doing it. They'd say, owl. Probably a better setup for that one. There's a free punchline for anybody that knows actually how to write jokes. Owl. I just realized, I'm not even kidding. I'm not trying to be funny. My brain just said, Scoots, owls don't say owl. And I said, it sounded funny when you thought of it and then gave me the joke actually 2 seconds ago. So that's a little bit about how my brain works. If you're new, I was going to say, hopefully I'll remember to come back to that. What was I going to say? Hooting and owls. And hopefully I'll remember the name, not just hooting, of owls. There's Hootie, but I was thinking of the name Hoot, H-O-O-T. When was that name at its most popular? But I'll come back to all of that. So whatever's keeping me awake, it could be bird noises, holy moly. I don't know why I almost said holy moly. Well, a Tweety bird makes a tweet, so it's not that really far. I'm sure there's owls that you could say, well, that owl doesn't hoot, it says owl, especially when it stubs its toe and is trying to say the first letter of something that starts with L. What's the first letter of letter? Oh, I stubbed my owl. Okay, but whatever's keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a safe place, as I said. And if you're new, this place might not feel so safe initially. It might feel strange, or you might say, or unsure, and that's perfectly normal. I'm supposed to earn the safe place, and you don't even have to give me a chance to, but you could think about it. So let's just see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. Creaky like like a door, like a well-used door. A door that's had a full life of love and, creaky, dulcet tones. So that's my sound of my voice. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people, they get used to it. They say, oh, this is something sleepy about that. Creaky, dulcet tones. Never heard them before. Yeah, because normally if you have creaky dulcet tones, you keep it to yourself. Creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders. We've already had a few in there. Jokes, punchlines without jokes, punchlines without punch. You got that. Your punchlines are more like they're definitely lines or collections of words delivered to me. I say, well, yeah, it's a punchline without a setup, I guess, so then it's just a line. Creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm here to take your mind off stuff and keep you company in reality, not so much to put you to sleep. I'm here as you drift off. So if you're new, a few things. This is a podcast ideally you consume in a loose, out-of-focus way at first. Because if you're waiting for me to get started or get to the point or start making sense, the third one, for sure, that's not like, that'll be like you're better off saying, I fell asleep before we ever started making sense. That's a common review of the show. And it can go both ways. Some people say that in a positive way. Other people would say I stopped listening, probably. So kind of try to hold the show loosely, just like you would like you'd have a butterfly if it landed in your hands. Not to, equate me with a butterfly. Oh, no. Or a bird. I don't think you'd want to, like, if you were an owl, like, usually those people have those leather gauntlet thing. But there's still, I guess an owl probably weighs, like, a bit, like, somewhere between 5 and 40 pounds. I don't know. But you still got to hold it calmly. And an owl holds you calmly in its gaze. It holds me in its gaze. I mean, I know our furry friends that might be listening, from terrariums nearby. You might say, oh, boy, please, Scoots, don't talk anymore about those O-double-Ls. And I'd say, Ols? No, O-double-Ls. Ols? No, O-W-L. Scoots, actually, the name of the letter's a W, not a double. Oh, okay, got it. I thought, here's the funniest thing. Nice to meet you, by the way. I used to have a fuzzy friend like you that lived in a terrarium. It wasn't a terrarium, it was an aquarium. But I guess if it doesn't have water in it, can you call it a terrarium? I call it my home. Well, here's the thing. Earlier I made a joke about those OWLs. Got it on that one. And I was talking about hooting. Because, most of them, the stereotypical thing is, they hoot. Or some people might say, hoo. Or was commercials when I was a child about lollipops and the owl. A symbol of wisdom. Deservedly, though fuzzy terrarium friends can deserve that, too. Did you know I had a gerbil named no, it's named Chitter. You do. Okay, you heard about it. Oh, cool. I didn't know there was a whole community. Okay. That threw me off. I didn't know you'd have knowledge of past events in my life. Oh, you're in my imagination. No wonder. I'll tell you what, instead of running, a lot of times I feel like I'm running on that wheel. While you're running on that wheel, could you think it's other than just doing that when I'm trying to sleep? One, be great if you don't do that anymore. Now that I know you're imaginary, could I express my preferences? Okay, well, you'll think about it. But could you come up with any joke? Do you do any jokes? Okay, I better get back to the intro. You're right. Oh, but I didn't finish telling you. I thought that for some reason I thought owls. Then I said, that's funny. I like well, here's the thing. I just like the way the word owl sounds. And I don't mind O-double-L either. I wish W was just that. Could you shorten W? Is that no? Because double means something different. You're right. But I said, then I thought owls made the sound owl. I mean, it might. If it was like, is that what self-actuating is? You don't know. Okay, you get back to, you enjoy your terrarium, your home, your house. Is a house, it's a home. Also a house, kind of. I mean, you kind of just bury yourself in those chips, which I guess seems pretty comfortable. Okay, I'll talk to you later. You're right. I got to go. So, sorry, new listeners, got to drawn off there. So I think I was saying you don't need to listen to me, kind of consume me in a loose way, just like you were holding a gerbil named Chitter. Say, would you mind if I give you a little pet? Oh, great. So then, where was I? You don't need to listen to me. Also, no pressure to fall asleep. But believe it or not, I'm here to keep you company. Shows are an hour, so you have plenty of time to drift off. And I'll be here to keep you company either way. So whether you can fall asleep right away or you can't sleep at all, I'm here to the very end for you. As your boar bud, your boar friend, your boar sib, and the rest of the terms we use around here, these parts. So no pressure to listen, no pressure to fall asleep. Structurally, this is a podcast that's a bit different. Show starts off with business. That's how we keep it free for everybody. Then there's an intro, which we're about 3/4 of the way through or so. Intro's around 12 to 20 minutes of me introducing the show in an inefficient way. And then in my inefficiency is kind of me going off topic. But it serves a purpose. It gives you time to get comfortable, to get ready for bed, or to get settled in bed. and maybe even drift off. Some people fall asleep during the intro, and then 2 or 3% of people skip the intro. So you say, well, I just want to get to the story. You just start around 20 minutes or so. I don't know exactly the time the story will start, but right around there is pretty safe. So there's the intro, then there's the business, then there's a story. Tonight will be a visit from my neighbor, Ray, and he'll give a little recap of his vacation, his recent vacation that I took with him, and probably talk about stuff I'd rather, like how much soda I drink and how many bathroom breaks I take. He loves talking about that. So, yeah, spoiler, if that's interesting to you. Yeah, I both is a lot, I'd say. And then there's some thank yous at the end. So this is the structure of the show. And like I said, this is a podcast that's here to take your mind off stuff. The reason I make this show is because I've been there. I've been there on a lot of different ones. Last night it was, sometimes you have that fall. I don't know what it's called other than a false start. I didn't use my normal bedtime routine because it was a Sunday. My routine was off. But I used the most effective thing, which was reading. And it did have some wind down time. And then I even think I got into a place. I was having a little bit of trouble with the temperature because it was cold outside. But the night before I was too warm, so I was very concerned with that. And so then I was trying to adjust the windows and stuff. I thought I had that under control. Then I thought I fell asleep. And then the next thing you know, I said, what in the hay? I can't, wasn't I asleep? Why couldn't I just stay asleep? What was I asleep for 2 minutes? And then I said, wait, these were the positions I turned to last night. And this is how I had my, primary set of pillows. Then my backup set of pillows I like cooler when I need to switch to cooler pillows and whatever. So I could long story, medium length. So I've been there, I guess is what I'm saying. That's just one example. And I know how it feels. That was just a plain old frustrating and a little baffling, but not, and so I'm here to take your mind off that, to interrupt that flow. Let's say that was you, you just put on old Scoots, and then you say, what was Scoots? Is Scoots talking about? I wonder if there's probably owls that make the sound owl. And maybe you could lie in bed. It is a relaxing word to say, owl. And even maybe if you stub your toe later, you say owl. It might help, laughter always helps, they say. And also just say owl instead of owl. Or maybe say owl, and then later you say owl. Or how about instead of a snarky is that a rejoinder? When someone says something to you in a playful way, that's a little bit, you say, instead of saying ouch, that's a little passive aggressive sometimes, you say owl. And they say, where? Holy cow, who, I'm in the hoot, I'm a Hoot fan. And you say, I'm sorry, what? You say, I just got back from the great hootenanny, the horned hootenanny. And you'd say, I didn't know. And you say, oh, I love owls. Holy mac. So where's the owl? You say, no, it was a pithy rejoinder, or whatever the correct vocabulary words are. Instead of owl, I was saying owl. You lost me. So there's no owl. That's a big that's really passive aggressive. You must have known I was an owl fan. No, really, I didn't. What do you say we go to the hootenanny or whatever? Well, the next hootenanny's not till 2021. Oh, well, I was just, I was wondering, owls aside, when do you think the name Hoot, H-O-O-T, was most popular? And will that name ever come back, Because we had a furniture store in the Bay Area, a couple of them called Hoot. I don't know the second name because I have dyslexia. And when you put a J in the middle of a word, it J's and D's really throw me off. I think it was Hoot Judge something. Hoot Judge Junkins or something. It's a furniture store, I believe. So I don't know if, anybody out there, I guess you wouldn't want to name a pet Hoot unless it was an owl. And then the owl would say, how about a real, now every time I hear another owl, I say, me? And they say, no, I was just talking when they hoot. An owl named Owl, my story. That could be a very short, and I don't even know if that would be able to be a sleep podcast because it might be so uninteresting. Oh, so you're not going to buy my biography, An Owl Named Owl? No, I would think about buying an owl named Hoot. A hoot of an owl. That's what I'd say. That's if you want me to write a thing, though, I'd say that. A hoot of a reed. Because owl is a hoot of an owl. In fact, if I named you, I would name you Hoot. Or Tooh. T-O-O-H. Tooh. Okay, anyway, yeah, you're probably right. I should wrap this up. So if you're new, give the show a few tries. It does not work for everybody. But for the tons of people it's worked for, they said it took 2 or 3 tries, or 4 or 5. Or it took me listening to the show and not liking it and then coming back and being like, oh, I get it. There's nothing to really get. So give it a few tries. I just really want to help. I make the show because, one, like I said, I've been there, but also I believe you deserve a good night's sleep and the world will be a better place for you and for me and for everybody if you're rested. So, yeah, that's it. I'm really happy to make the show. I work very hard. I yearn on a strive, and I really want to help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we're able to keep this show free for everybody. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here, and I'm here to talk about therapy. I work with a licensed professional therapist on a regular basis, and it has been so beneficial in my life. And if you're out there thinking about it, you're dealing with something, you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe it's anxiety, maybe you just want to make some changes in your life, and you want to have someone there to listen and to help you with issues. A professional therapist is an amazing, for me, life-changing resource. So whatever it is, anxiety, grief, depression, relationships, sleep, anything you're dealing with, a licensed professional therapist can help. And with BetterHelp, all you do is simply fill out a questionnaire to help assess your basic needs, and then you get matched with your counselor in under 48 hours. From there, you could easily schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus exchange unlimited messages to communicate with your therapist at your convenience. And everything you share is confidential. If for any reason you're unhappy with your counselor, you can request a new one at any time at no additional charge. So you can find someone you feel good with, which is just another important part of the process. It's just another safe place for you to find. Join the 1 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced BetterHelp counselor. BetterHelp is an affordable option for our listeners, and get 10% off your first month with the discount code SLEEPWITHME. That's one word, SLEEPWITHME. Get started today at BetterHelp.com. That's BetterHelp.com/sleepwithme. Talk to a therapist online and get help. BetterHelp.com/sleepwithme for 10% off your first month. Thanks, everybody. All right, it's time to talk about native deodorant, everybody. With the holiday season right around the corner, we're getting in the spirit by indulging in the sights, sounds, and scents of the season. Is that candy cane or sugar cookie under your arm, Scoots? I say, well, one for each arm. That's what I say. And not only did I buy 1 stick of candy cane, I bought 2, and then I have another one on order. That's for a gift. I love the candy cane. I also ordered a sugar cookie that's on its way. Native is a perfect addition to your daily routine this holiday season. You could smell good. You could feel good. One other chance you get to feel seasonal. And Native deodorants don't just block odor better. They're made better. Native has ingredients you've heard of like coconut oil, shea butter. It's vegan, never tested on animals. Native never uses potentially harmful ingredients like aluminum, parabens, sulfate, or talc. Right, Mystery Bard?
Is no aluminum, parabens, phthalates, or triclosan. Only things you find in nature and native deodorant. Fewer, simpler, less is more ingredients. Only things you find in nature and native deodorant. We're talking about coconut oil, sleep 20, tapioca starch, shea butter, too. NativeDeodorant.com for you. Promo code SLEEP20.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. And yeah, you got to get this candy cane gift set. You should get one for you. And then think of that special someone. Is it your mom? Is it your sister, your cousin, one of your best friends? Get them a candy cane gift set. Or what would you put in a stocking? Because Native's products are great stocking stuffers as well for everyone on your list. If you're packing up those little gift bags, you put a little Native sampler in there. Native is risk-free to try. Every product comes with free shipping within the U.S., plus free 30-day returns and exchanges. See why so many people love Native and check out their over 14,000 five-star reviews. Yeah, and I'm excited to try out the sugar cookie and the vanilla and chai. I already have my stock of candy cane. They also have a candy cane toothpaste. I might have to get that. I didn't even realize that. That comes in the candy cane gift set. But what are you waiting for? Shop Native's holiday collection today. Don't wait. Go to nativedeo.com/sleep20 or use the promo code sleep20 at checkout and get 20% off your first order. That's nativedeo.com/sleep20 or use the promo code sleep20 at checkout for 20% off your first order. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots coming to you from the end of 2020, December 2020, when you're going to be listening to this. And I just wanted to tell you before Scoots from early 2020 took over that this episode was recorded in January of 2020. And I sat on it the whole year just because it wasn't comfortable putting it out because it involves travel and I didn't want to give anybody a sense of forlorn FOMO. Or encourage any of that. But it is our most popular and comforting guest host, Ray Perkins. And it is a trip that took place exactly a year ago now when it comes out. So I thought it'd be fun to put it out. And we usually try to, like most years, we put out about 3 Ray episodes a year. This year was a little different just because the year was different. And I really appreciate all you being here the whole year for me and Ray and all the other people involved in the podcast. I could not do it without all of you. I really appreciate it. And also, those of you that are Ray super fans, I should have a way in 2021. At some point, I'm going to redo some of the, I'm going to create a higher level Patreon level for Ray super fans. Because it just won't work in the main feed of putting out 12 Ray episodes a year, but we could work a budget to get to that. And I'll also probably have once we get that going, if it's successful, I'll also add it. We're going to have a referral program. So that'll be a free way to support the show coming up down the road to get access to that stuff too. So yeah, that's it right now. And so I just want to let you know that this was recorded in January 2020, from a trip in, what year is it? So this was 2020. So it's 2019 to 2020 when this trip I went on with Ray that Ray's talking about. And it was a pleasant, re-listening to this episode. So I hope it's as pleasant for you. A nice, dreamy trip with Ray tonight. Thanks. All right, hey everybody, this is an episode with our guest, our semi-frequent guest, Ray, my neighbor Ray, and he's going to take things over and talk about just a little trip report from part of a trip we made recently. Hello, everybody. This is your friend Ray. Oh boy, it is so good to be in your ears, but I know some of yous are new. So I wanted to reintroduce myself. I'm Ray Perkins. Pleased to meet you. Oh, boy, is it my honor to be here in your ears. Hopefully you'll be my new friend. And I'm here to take your mind off stuff, keep you company with trip reports from trips I took with Scooter, of all people. I like to call him the Pod Boy or Little Andy or Scooter. Though I don't know what to, though when in this case I call him a consumer of soda pop a lot of times when we're traveling together because he drinks a lot of soda just on the trip. So, it's his vacation. So we're here, and I'm going to, I do have to, okay, so if you're new, yeah, I guess that's all you need to know. I'm Ray Perkins. I like taking trips. I'm a person, I'm not of Scooter's generation. I may be one or two or three generations before him. More experienced, he'd probably say. And we met when he moved in next door to me in about, I don't know if it wasn't the aughts, but it was the, whatever they're going to call the last decade. Before the podcast, of all things, I saw him, he saw me, he kept walking. Then I saw him, I waved, he moved his head, he kept walking. These are some of my first memories of him. I said, look, I don't know about that young man. He's got something, he's a little bit of a Grinch or a grouch. And I said, I'd like to know him. And I have a loquat tree. So I strategically, it was just an accident. It might have been a strategy of synchronicity. I was there checking on my loquat tree. Oh, for those of you, loquat is a stone fruit, not very popular for consumption. And it looks like an orange berry. Not that tree many of you are thinking of. Not the bright, shiny orange berries that some of you are thinking of. I don't know what that tree is. But I did want to give it, acknowledge that that tree does exist. But this one is, the berries are fuzzy. The orange is a bit larger than a grape, than the ones you might have been picturing, which are a little bit smaller, like a pea. And, here in California, we have loquat trees. You might say, Ray, you don't sound like you're from California. I'd say, well, this is where I live right now today. And I've lived here, and this is, I stayed Scooter's neighbor. So I saw him many times coming to his, he had to go down a driveway to get to his apartment, which was on the back side of a like a house that was made into apartments. And I also lived in a house that was made into apartments right next door. But he didn't go in the front door. He said, Ray, the front door is where my bedroom is. The front of the living room is my bedroom. And when I would visit him, this turned out to be true. His living room, he only had a one-bedroom apartment because, this is the Bay Area. And so his living room was cut in half by some curtains and a thing he put up there. And on one side was bed. There was just enough room for a bed. I guess maybe he's saying this is too much, but he doesn't live there anymore, so it's not a violation of his privacy. But so he had a bed there. That's all he had was a bed. It was right up against the wall in the corner. Then the curtains were on the other side of the bed. Then he had a dresser. So technically the dresser was in front of the door that you would go in, or the side of the dresser was. And then more curtains, and then on the other side of the curtains was a sofa. There was also stands, one of which he used as both a side table and his nightstand. And that was a small, the living room was now smaller. There was the TV, a chair that Koa liked to use. And this is a little tour of Scooter's old apartment. Then a hall, not a very long hall, where the restroom was. And then if you continue down the hall, straight in was the bedroom where his young one would sleep there. And then to the right was the kitchen and the door that was it was a back door that he used as a front door. All of that to say, to get there, you had to go down a driveway between the two buildings. And so I would see him many times because I would be out enjoying the day. Oh, my friends, do I love enjoying the day. Holy moly. And so I would see him there, and eventually I got his eye contact in a way he couldn't deny me. And eventually I broke through that ice, a bit. And we got to know one another. I learned about Bernie the butterfly. Eventually I learned about this podcast, and, we became friends. We didn't become fast friends, not with Scooter. Oh, no. But I think he probably has become fast friends with someone. But he still has friends from kindergarten. That is a friend from kindergarten. So anyway, we became friends. I've been on the podcast before, but usually I come on to talk about my trips. Normally, my trips I would take myself. But since then, Scooter, I've had the pleasure of traveling with Scooter on trips. Now, particularly your friend Ray, he likes to take trips to theme parks. I'm a big theme park fan. Amusement parks, I'll take second after theme parks, particularly. Well, Scooter's actually opened my mind, but I used to just be a Disney-only park goer, but now I've learned my heart has grown and my perspectives have grown beyond Disney. Now, we will be talking about a trip we made, and this will just be one part of the trip here. And I guess without further ado, so get in and get cozy, because this was the holiday season. Whenever holiday season you particularly, however you celebrate your holidays, well, holy cow, I'm glad you take the time to celebrate and have something for meaning for you. And for some of you, that might be, and I just don't want them. So I know the holiday season, I hope you could, you have some space to celebrate something. But you won't be listening to this in the holiday season. But I was more saying whatever year, you're listening to this is not super important. I mean, it's important to you, the year the Scooters trained me well on this sleep podcasting thing, I think. So whatever year you're celebrating it, though, is important to you, or even if it's not a holiday. I guess my way of saying this is I'm trying to be non-specific about years. Also, oh dear, so I did have one thing to say to regular listeners, because a lot of time has elapsed, and maybe I'll have gone back down that road, and you'll be in the future knowing more than me. But originally, now this was like almost more than a half a year ago, I had gone on another trip with Scooter to Los Angeles in the Southern California, and we went to 3 parks, but I only recorded 2 episodes. I had intended to record 3 about our trips, and then Scooter was going to release them slowly out. But he I think, I don't know. I guess we just never got it recorded. The one about Universal Hollywood. So I just wanted to say that in case she's like, Ray, didn't you go to Universal? But maybe you heard it. Maybe I recorded it after this, and that's a miracle of podcasting there. But holy cow, let me set the stage for this. This was late in the holiday. This was the beginning of the holiday season. The first holiday season in the history of the podcast that Scooter was going to take some time off. Now, I mean, I'm friends with him, so I know, like you say, well, Scooter, you got to take some time off. And in the past, all the other holiday seasons, he said, well, Ray, it's slow. Like during the holiday season, not as many people need to interact with me, whether it's listeners or other, the other, hidden parts of the podcast we don't know about. All those little things that keep the podcast going, those slow down in the holiday season. And Scooter in the past has used that to ramp up production and just get more editing done, more shows recorded. Like he's used the quiet time. And again, he said, well, I didn't work as hard because it's a little different work and I'm getting ahead of myself so then I could take time off at another time of year. But a while ago, Scooter said to me, Ray, last holidays was so quiet. I kind of wish I took them off because then I could, instead of just working, because, one of the things is, let's see, I mean, I don't know all this, so this is Scooter's life, not mine. But, when you're constantly producing something, you got to constantly be producing it. And then there's the administration of making it work and all of that stuff. And what you don't want to do is let things pile up, Scooter. This is what Scooter told me. So sometimes he was like, well, I'm better off getting ahead. But he said, maybe I could just keep up just enough over the holidays that everything would be okay. And I said, my little pod boy's becoming a pod person because he's learning To me, this was a growth thing. I said, oh boy, is this H-O-P? I did not want to say it out loud. I said, is this H-O-P-E or T-R-U-S-T? Scooter's experiencing with the world here? Holy moly, I was touched. And he said, maybe I could take some time off and, just work a couple hours a day. Because Scooter's definition for time off is working 8 hours. That's what he does when he's off. Like he works halftime. So he said, well, what sounds like you're on what you do is you say, well, that sounds like, what do you think? I think you're thinking things through there, Scooter. Sounds like you're on to something. And then I said, well, what would, now I had ulterior motives because they said, well, what would you do for that holiday season there to relax, with your best friend, upon my assumption. And so we decided to make a trip. Now, where else would we go if I was, if I was playing the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes, but to Walt Disney World. And so, I don't want to, I won't talk about the planning. Sometimes I talk about the planning with Scooter. This was a easily planned trip, very loosely planned, I guess, but in a good way. And so we found ourselves on the Friday. Was it the Friday? Oh, Ray. No, the Saturday. Oh, boy. So it was the Saturday before the traditionally, like, schools were out on that Friday. And then I think, let's see, this was around the 22nd or the 21st or something, I don't know, of December. And it was a Saturday, and we had a night flight. What we did was, now Scooter, he always goes back and forth. Now, when you live on the West Coast and you got to fly to the East Coast, you have two tough decisions. Unless you have a boatload of dough, and even then it's not possible to just get a direct flight anywhere. So almost always you have to take two flights for the most part, especially if you're keeping it within a budget. And so then you say, well, am I going to fly all day and then get into the East Coast a late night in the East Coast? Like most of the time, no matter what, because of the time change and everything, you can't get there before 9, 10, 11 o'clock. And you say, well, then you fly all day, which Scooter likes that because he works very well on an airplane. And then the other option is you fly over the night. They call that the red eye. Now, the red eye is, it glamorized in the movies in the term, oh, boy, I'm a jet setter. I got the red eye. I'm living large. Now, what they don't tell you is most of those flights, they're only like 4 or 5 hours tops. So, now also we can, if you listen to this podcast, you might relate to some of Scooter's, machinations within his mind. And that sometimes he creates things that aren't, like he creates a situation that comes true or creates more. So he's slowly been undoing this. Like I said, he's becoming a pod teen from a pod boy. Or a pod tween, maybe he's growing because he used to dread these overnight flights, especially when he has other, he's juggling being a parent and all those things. He said, I don't have the emotional wherewithal to deal with being tired, and oh boy, it's just going to not be fun. And then a year ago, I think it was a little bit more, we did it and it worked out okay. And so he said, because I said, Scooter, well, okay, let's talk about this. So what if you don't sleep on the flight? You'll be very tired. Okay, for how long? Well, it'll be a miserable, okay, yeah, it'll be a rough day, right? And what if we can't take it? What if we never get a hotel room till 4 p.m.? And then what do oh, well, okay, that would be tough. You're right, Scooter. That would be uncomfortable. Yeah, it would be. And so then we tried it out last year. I don't know if we recorded it. I think we did with the pool hopping, and ended up working out. Now, we were tired, and we did take a little bit of a nappy poo, but I think it relieved Scooter. Now, Scooter also had a COLD on this leaving the trip, so he actually was extra tired because he said, well, I'm not feeling good. So maybe I actually will sleep on this plane because my body's like, hey, let's get some sleep over here. And so here's what I remember. I don't know what time we left, but then Scooter was like, wow, I really like leaving in the afternoon because it gives me the day to get everything in order. It's very relaxing. And this is the second time we've been through this. For him, a lot of times it's like, even though it's the second or third time, it's like the first time for him. Because he's still reinforcing, the growth, the trust in the world thing. And so we went to the airport and we got there, no problem. It was, it wasn't even as busy as we expected. And we got in, we got something to eat for dinner. And then we got a flight from San Francisco to Salt Lake City with a layover there. And I remember, using the restroom there, a nice restroom. I remember, finding my way through. Sometimes all these airports start to run together. It may have been my first time in that airport, but it was a pleasant enough experience there. And then we got a next flight, which probably left around like 11 or 12 p.m. or a.m., 11 p.m. I think it was like 11 p.m. maybe, like, let's see, that would be 1 a.m. plus 4. Yeah, so probably around then. And Scooter must have slept. He wasn't expecting. I think he did some reading. And I honestly think I was sitting next to him. I think he probably slept like out of a 4.5 hour, 5 hour flight. I think he probably slept 3 hours or 4 hours even. Also, this flight was on Delta, which was so great to see Scooter's podcast on there. And then the podcast from Lauren and Phoebe and the team at Criminal, This Is Love, was on there. So, oh boy, was that a delight. I listened to all, and On Being. I just listened to podcasts the whole time myself. Or maybe I fell asleep when it came to Scooter's podcast. But that was pretty fun to see the podcast on the airline. Hopefully they'll keep it on there. That'd be like a great opportunity. And so then we flew there. Now, a flight got into Orlando at about, it was supposed to get in at about 5 a.m. It got in about 5:30. And so we said, okay, what are we going to do here? And then we went down. Now, Disney has their own buses that go, they call it the Magical Express. And the good thing is that if you checked your luggage with the tags, that the luggage goes to your hotel and you don't even have to go fetch it or anything. Now, it does take like 6 or 7 hours because I don't know if they're not like, it's not like what do you call that, where you're, it's not a high priority, So if you check your clothes, if you didn't check your clothes or whatever, that, you make sure you have a change of clothes. That's what I'm saying. And your toothbrush in your bag, which we've learned that, Scooter and I. But so there we go. We get the Magical Express. It's a bus. It's free. And, strategically for Disney, I think they say, well, it's going to keep you, if you don't have a rental car, you're probably more likely to spend time with us. And I said, well, that's an interesting concept. But it is convenient. Now, some people would say, oh, it takes too long or those things. Now, we happen to be lucky. We were the first. They drive. So it's like a Greyhound charter type bus. And you get on there, you wait for it to fill up, and then it goes to a few hotels of the Disney hotels. Now, we were staying at, what was the place we were staying? The Disney French Quarter, Port Orleans French Quarter. That's what it was called. And so it's themed after New Orleans, and it's a smaller hotel. It might be the smallest hotel. I mean, more like a motel. Maybe I'll talk about Disney hotels at some point, because I think it's important to clarify my opinion, only my opinion, your friend Ray's opinion. But I say that just if you're a person that stays in a lot of hotels, that like when you see the rate that you're paying for the room, you would assume it's a hotel. And this one is not, it's not a motel either, but it is equivalent. I mean, oh boy, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but, your friend Ray, I like the Fairfield Inn and Hampton, those places. So I wouldn't call that necessarily a motel and say it in a bad way. I would say it's a very nice place to sleep. Not a fancy place to sleep, not a luxury place to sleep, but not like when Scooter and I stayed at the Lost Hills Motel. That's just a decent place to sleep. It's a good place to sleep. And the Port Orleans is a little bit nicer than that, but I mean, it's nothing. I don't know. When you look at the price, that's my only thing. But I mean, that's just the way they do it. That's the way they've always done it. But I just say that because I think of all the people that go there, and maybe like just to prepare you, because you say, well, I've traveled a lot for work, so I see I'm going to pay $200, $300 a night. You're going to have certain expectations that might not be met. But it'd be like out of all the trips I've taken with Scooter, he said, Ray, I'll never stay at another place again unless this is way overpriced. And I agree with him because it's so small, because with a lot of the Disney hotels that are in the affordable range, which would be under $300 a night, and I know that's a little bit wild to say, but if you're looking when it's busy to pay like less than $350 a night, and sometimes you could pay as low as like under 200, like in the 120s, there can be a lot of walking around to get to your room. In this Port Orleans French Quarter, it's not like that. Everything is close to your room. And also it's very nicely themed, even though it's a motel setup. What I mean by motel setup is you walk on the outside to get to your room. You don't walk on the inside. But it's made to look like little buildings in the French Quarter. And I know, okay, this is where I address anybody. If you're scoffing or anything, I totally understand that not everybody is a Disney theme park person, and that this stuff it can be approached in many different ways. Now, your friend Ray, I realize everything, and I have enough room inside for everybody's thoughts and things, but this is just what I happen to like. And I think Scooter likes it for much different reasons than I do. He kind of likes schlock. I don't see the schlock so much, but I understand it. And Scooter likes it that he's like living in a ridiculous situation where I'm more immersed, but sometimes Scooter gets immersed too. So I don't know if that clarifies it, but I realize that I say all this with a grain of salt. I mean, I realize that not everybody's in a position for this thing. And not everybody likes it. And the good thing about Scooter's podcast is there's hundreds of episodes. I'm just here to put you to sleep because I know there are a lot of people that do enjoy it. And your friend Ray is one of them. But it doesn't mean, we live in a gray world. Now, this one happens to be a pastel world. But, and so, like, if you like one thing, that's fine. I happen to like this thing. So I like it, but if you don't like it, you don't agree. That's totally okay too. So I just want to acknowledge that too, in case, what I guess what I'm trying to say in the most sleep podcasty way is I really like this hotel, and we'll call it a hotel. We'll just agree to use their terminology. And Scooter did too. Now, Scooter liked it for different reasons than your friend Ray. I liked it because of the theming. Because of the convenience of the layout. Also, they had many quiet places. This is someplace Scooter and I agreed. And Scooter even took a couple afternoons to work, and he worked outside close to fountains. He did find that most of the fountains are also the smoking area. But he really, oh boy, did he enjoy it. So I just like the theming. I like the size. I found it quiet. There's a horse-drawn carriage going through in the evening every once in a while. Cobblestone streets. There's a pool. But so that's where we were staying. What was I talking about? Oh, we were on the Disney Magical Express thing. So you get on the bus and we go to the hotel. Now, we were all very prepared. So Scooter said, there's in the world of being a West Coast, East Coast traveler, the idea of going to your hotel and getting a room at 5:30 or 6 in the morning is just it's a dream, but it's never going to happen. Am I right? And those of you that work in hotels, they give out those rooms when you can. Holy moly, you are saints. Now, there's not always rooms, and then there's hotel policies, like why would we give you a room at 6 in the morning, check-ins at 4 p.m.? So we actually had zero expectation of getting a room. So our plan was a little bit different because this was the winter. The last time we had gone, it was the spring. It was warmer. It was good swimming weather. We decided, okay, let's be flexible. We'll see what time we get to the hotel. We'll put our bags in storage, and we'll go to a theme park or whichever theme park happens to be around opening the time. And so we get there off the Magical Express. We have our backpacks and those things. And we said, okay, well, we'll check in, and then we'll go to the bag thingamajig, luggage services. I think that's what they call it. And we'll figure that out, maybe change our T-shirts and our socks and those things, brush our teeth, and then we'll go to a park. And now, so this was probably about 6:30 in the morning. We got to the hotel, and we go to check in. And there's a little, I don't know if there was any line now that I'm thinking about it. We walk in, and then as we're walking in, there happened to be a couple people working, and this woman looks up, and I think she even started walking towards us, and she said, "Oh, hello." And this is another line of, even your friend Ray gets a little bit, like the over-the-topness, the faux, but this person was not faux anything, but the over-the-top, have a magical day type thing. But this person had it, I think, like welcome. Oh, we had the tween with us, giving the tween a greeting. And then Scooter took over, in his more brusque manner, said, here's my ID. And then she started typing away, and her name was Tony with an I, just in case anybody's listening. Holy mackerel, what a miracle. And again, she was just being pleasant. We weren't planning on getting a room. And then she said, "Oh, look at this. Your room's ready." And she said, "I was going to try to find you a room, but there's already one here assigned to you that's open." And I'm sure the hotel people can't be pleased about that because they want those rooms, busy all the time. But we almost all fainted. We said, "Wait a second, our room is ready. You got to be kidding me." And it was a moment to live in history. Now, probably not the best thing because you don't want to have that expectation ever again. But it was like, holy mackerel! You mean I could you could brush my teeth in my hotel room? We don't have to store our bags. And then we went through a little bit of like checking in. That took a little bit of time there. And I think Scooter immediately immediately bought a coffee, but maybe he made a coffee in the room. I don't even know. I'm trying to think what he did because I think, he wanted to buy the unlimited mug, but we won't talk about that right now because they didn't have it. Like it was too early in the morning. They said, "We don't have the unlimited mug." And he said, "Oh, bummer." And they said, "Yeah, well, come back in an hour." So I think he probably made a coffee in the room, or maybe he bought a coffee, or maybe he did, knowing Scooter, he did both. But so we went to the rooms and got our teeth brushed, our socks changed. I don't know if Scooter even hopped in the shower. I have no idea. And then, Scooter, he has dyslexia. So we said, we came with our crew that we had, and we said, well, okay, what's our plan here? Now, At this particular time in the history of the Disney parks, there's 4 parks, right? You got your Disney Studios. You got your Magic Kingdom, which is a bit like Disneyland. You have your Epcot Center, which is going through a lot of construction. And then you have your Animal Kingdom, which is a bit like a safari animal celebration place. Now, also with that, the busiest time of year, so the hours are very extended. And then on top of that, Disney had just opened these new Star Wars things at the Hollywood Studios. And so that park was already open, I think at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., because they have these extra hours. And so we knew that was out because we knew that it was going to be super busy, and you really had to be there when it opened if you wanted to go on the Star Wars rides. And you could always find out that stuff from like Len Testa and the touring plans people or the unofficial guide. That's just where we get our information from. But so we said, okay, that park's out. Then we said, okay, well, I think we had some fast passes. I don't know. Let me look at my notes here. Let me just check a couple things here. Yeah, so we had some fast passes for the Epcot Center in the evening. So we said, well, we don't want to go to Epcot Center. I think that Epcot Center opened at 9 or maybe 8 o'clock. And then Animal Kingdom opened at 9. And then Magic Kingdom had opened at 7 o'clock with the early magic hours. So with the early extra magic hours or something, they call it, it means the park opens an hour early for the people that are staying at the Disney hotel, so you can get in an hour earlier and get some rides on. And Scooter and I go back and forth between using that and not using it because you got to be up pretty early, but you can get more done. But then the other side of it, you know, when you talk to the crowd experts, is the park fills up faster. But Scooter, you know, Scooter's brought me around because then he said, you're probably right. We'll just go to the park when it opens. We don't got to go to a park when it opens early. But Scooter likes to take a break, and so do I. So then we kind of have gone back the other way because it's like, well, if you get there earlier before and you have the hotel advantage, you could get a lot more done and you're done earlier so you could take a break earlier. And if you take a break earlier, it's more likely to be a longer, refreshing break. But, you know, if we do multiple episodes about this vacation, then you'll probably hear more about that. But so at this time, it was already like pushing 7 o'clock. And so we said, well, the Magic Kingdom's already open. So should we go there? Will it be too busy? And then Scooter said, well, we'll just go to the Animal Kingdom. We'll go now. And we'll get there early. And then all of us kind of looked at him because he didn't realize he had missed an hour because of his dyslexia. And we said, no, it doesn't open till 9. He said, right, we'll go now. And we'll get there like 45 minutes before it opens. And then we said, Scooter opens at 9. It's 7 or 1. And he said, oh, okay, I guess we'll go to the Magic Kingdom then, and we'll just see how it goes. It might be busy already. We might not be able to go on any rides. We'll just deal with what we deal with. Because I guess sleeping at this point was out because we said, oh, okay, we'll do some stuff for a little while. We'll go back at lunchtime and sleep for a little while. Now that we have the luxury of the room, in an ironic way, the stress of waiting for the room and being tired is relieved because you know you have a room to go to whenever you do feel tired. So the next thing we do, we go to the bus stop. Now, Disney, they're refining how they do things, but most places, some places you could take a boat, some places you could take a gondola, but a lot of places you take a bus to the park. So we go out, we go to you can check on the app for the most part at this point. But we didn't know. So we went to the bus. We got to the bus stop we caught a bus at around 7:10 a.m., maybe exactly. And it was actually maybe we got to the bus stop at 7:10 and the bus came at 7:18. Yeah, that's what it is. and it was raining and drizzling, but it was warm, and we had rain gear. We expected the rain. So it was drizzling, it was warm, and I mean, compared to the Bay Area, it was warmer, but not balmy. And so we were already like used to rain with a slight chill. So it was like, oh boy, this is very tolerable weather. And also the rain. Now the rain, you might think, oh, it makes the parks less busy. That's sometimes true and sometimes isn't. So we got to the park exactly around 7:30, the Magic Kingdom. Now you go in, you bus, you have a bit of a walk. You go through, they check your bags and things. Then you go through the turnstile, which is now just a circle that you touch. They have these things called magic bands that you wear, which is a bit like a Fitbit with Mickey on there. And all, like you use that, you could use it to, like a bit like Apple Pay, but you also use it to check into the park, to check in for rides you have a pass for. Of course, they also use it to collect data, but it's interesting the data they must be collecting of the crowd movement in those things. But so we got to the park and it was already open, but it was only like, so the Main Street is open. That's Main Street USA, they call it. And they had a giant tree. They had a holiday music playing and the ambient music track there. And it was very nice. And then the first thing we did was we tried to look at Starbucks, but it was like an hour wait for Starbucks because they have a Starbucks there. So we said, okay, no Starbucks. And then we looked at the castle, which was very nice. I think there's Cinderella's castle. And then for the magic hours, they had been already going at 7. Now it's about 7:30, 7:35. And so the lands that are open are Fantasyland and Tomorrowland that are open during this Fast Pass time. And so we went, and then you show your hotel thing, or they scan it. I think they scan your wristband, and then you could go past. Like, so they let people on Main Street, anybody, but then to go to get the rides, they check to make sure you're staying at the hotel. But again, we only had like at this point, a 15-minute head start. And we went, and first we looked at this one ride, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is a bit like a family roller coaster. And it looked like that's like the busiest ride there at that park at this time. It's just very popular. It gets a long line right away. Though if you watch like the touring plans, they say, okay, well, actually, like about a half hour after the park opens, it takes the initial people that were there when it opened, and then you have a little bit of a lull. But it didn't look like a lull at that time. So we skipped it. It didn't have a wait time. Maybe it wasn't even running, but so we went to Peter Pan, which is the next busiest ride normally, and there was no wait for Peter Pan. At 7:41, and according to my notes, we went on Peter Pan, and that is I think you could say archetypal Disney park ride for families, a dark ride they call it. And you go on there, you get in a pirate ship that flies over London. You go like with the kids and Peter Pan and the mermaids and, the lost kids and, King Captain or whatever his name is and Smee. And it all works out, just like this is fantasy. Like, let's not, worry about it. And that's a fun ride. But it's even more fun when you don't wait in line for it. Then we went and we said, well, let's just go see this Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I don't think Scooter or I did. I think the rest of it, they said, well, let's just try. Now or never kind of thing. So we went on that, and it was drizzling, and it was not a very long line at all, maybe 30 minutes of something. And so we went on that. Then we took a break at one of Scooter's favorite bathrooms. Now, Scooter knows, and this was a joke the whole trip, he knows all the bathrooms everywhere because he drinks so much liquids that, he's got to go when he has to go. So he likes the ones by Gaston's Tavern. He says those are usually the little tucked away. usually pretty clean, usually not as busy as the other nearby bathrooms. So he said, let's go there. Again, it's drizzling. We're in like a little bit of a heady state, but spirits were high. Then we went on the Little Mermaid ride. Again, no wait. This is a ride to have at California Adventure and Disneyland and, California Adventure. And then they have it in the Magic Kingdom. And you had to walk through the whole queue. Now, the queue in Magic Kingdom is much better than the one in Disneyland. It's, you kind of go through grottos and all those kind of things. And there's a lot of animated stuff. And whatever that bird is, whose name I forget, the one that calls it, Smurfdorf or whatever. Oh, this is, spork. It's for fixing your hair. So why can't I think of that name? Squabble. No, it's not Squabble. Maybe I'll remember. But that's a nice ride, too. It has all the hits. It's got singing, it's got dancing, it's got the wonderful Ursula animatronic, so it has the big numbers, it's got Ursula. It's a fun ride, and no wait at all. So we went on that one. Then we went on the teacups. Now, I didn't go on it, just Scooter. Scooter said the teacups are supposed to have Christmas music, but they didn't. I think that was only at night. But Scooter went on the teacups. He had fun with his tween there. And then we started to notice like an objection, actually. And even your friend, now we didn't file a complaint or our disapproval just because we were so busy. But it was raining, but not hard. And when you think about the futures of these parks, you might say, okay, this is, unsustainable. But also you think about how the unsustainability relates to, that it's like two sides of the same coin or whatever you're going to say. Even though it wasn't raining hard, there was a lot of puddles. And I said, what are these people, these Disney people, they don't know how to drain? Like, I don't pay this money to walk in puddles. But mostly because we were tired, it was just a lot of gruffing. But realistically, I mean, I guess I'm saying they got to do something because it wasn't huge puddles. But when you're paying $100 to go somewhere, you say, I don't want to, I mean, I guess I'm not trying to be a snob, but you say, if you're going to manufacture something and have a manufactured experience, please manufacture it without the puddles, please. And I would say this is probably related, to the water table in Florida. I mean, let's just be honest. So I'm taking the larger issue, but also putting in the customer service context. So that was not great. Now, a lot of us did have wool socks on because we expected the rain, but I don't know. It's just something none of us were happy about on a few different days. He said, what are you doing here? How do you got these puddles? Don't you have some sort of, jet stream engine or something? What in the mackerel? And I'm not just talking about little puddles. I'm saying they just have these road, like walking areas, which are like like highways. And you see, you can't have a puddle there because everybody's got to walk through it. So I don't know, not to be, Debbie Downer or whatever you want to call me. But that was that. Next thing we did was we went on Space Mountain. Is that right? Yeah. So we went on a lot of puddles, a lot of rain. We were getting wet, still warm. We still had the right gear. I mean, we didn't have like rain pants or anything. So our feet and our pants, it wasn't raining hard enough that our legs were getting very wet. But we knew we didn't have much time. But again, the other thing was the crowds had not picked up, even though this was like around now after 9 in the morning, probably. Or maybe at 8:30, probably like 8:30, maybe closer to 9. It had not got busy. So we went on Space Mountain with zero wait. We thought about riding it again, but then we said, well, let's make the most of it. And then we went on the People Mover, which is a really nice ride. And again, when it's so busy like this time of year, like the People Mover at this time had no wait, or like 5 minutes. But when I say no wait, I mean under 20 minutes when I say no wait. But also like, what was I saying? Oh, the People Mover at different times during this trip was up to over an hour to wait to go on. It's, which to me was a little bit unacceptable. But so we waited no time, and it was very pleasant. Oh boy, except that we were tired. So it's like a little bit of a lulling ride. It's like the Sleep With Me podcast of the Magic Kingdom, that People Mover, Tomorrow Way People Mover, Wedway People Mover, it's been called, Tomorrow Way Transit or something. But again, this is one of these situations when it's like early and there's no crowd. You're trying to make hay while the sun was not shining. So we went on the People Mover. Then we went on Buzz Lightyear, which is like one of those games where you like squirt gun stuff. And that was fun. Scooter won, of course. He wants everybody to know that. But other people had higher scores than him outside of our group. Just in our group, he always gets the highest score. Sometimes his brother Buck beats him. Okay, so we went on Buzz Lightyear. Then we used another restroom, not as high on Scooter's restroom. Let's see, Scooter's. Oh, so Scooter said okay, so there's in Tomorrowland. And Scooter says he didn't use, he doesn't, no, he thinks he did use, there's a couple different restrooms, but the main restroom is like near the restaurants, across the way from the cars, whatever they're called, Tomorrowland Speedway. And those restrooms are very high traffic. So, if you're looking for a quality, fast restroom or something that's likely to be clean, don't use that one. But that's the one we used. It was just a convenience stop. Then we were all starting to get hungry. And so we got some croissant sandwiches at the Friar's Nook in Fantasyland. And apparently they just started serving food or breakfast recently. It was a new thing. And I think those came with tater tots, and it was decent. I mean, for a Disney World breakfast, it was palatable. Like I'd say, I don't know. I'd have to figure out how we're going to rate the food, but pretty good. I mean, nothing as good as a little bit better than you'd get at like one of the fast food restaurants, I'd say. And the tater tots were good. Then the next thing we did was we headed through and we went to a mansion of 99 happy friends from the big farm, the mansion, the Big Farm Mansion. And that is a classic. Oh, boy, was that a classic. We had fun for that one. And, that's just a great classic to go on. Now, in Disneyland, they have a layover, whatever they call it, makeover, the Nightmare Before, the dream thing before Christmas overlay. But in Disney World at Magic Kingdom, they do not have that. But it does just fine on its own. I mean, what are you going to say? It was great. And then we headed over to Pirates of the Caribbean. We joked with Scooter's tween that she used to call it Pirates of the Caribbean. And independently, I don't think she even made this connection. She would say, oh, Pirates of the Caribbean. And then she would say, oi, my keys. That's really what she thought they were saying, not ahoy mateys. So she'd say, I'm from the Pirates of the Caribbean. Oi, my keys. And that always gave me a laugh. Oi, my keys. Where are they? What did I? Oh. Like a little Pirate of the Caribbean. But then we had more laughs because we realized the nuance of accidental in this case. We say, oh, if you keep your keys in a Caribbean, the Pirate of the Caribbean might take your keys. And then you'd say, oi, my keys. And this is a classic attraction, just like with the mansion of the big farmers. This is one of the big ones, and especially when you hit it early in the day like this, there's no wait, and it really, oh boy. And it's a little bit different. You know, I did cover the differences between the Disney World and the Disneyland one, but it's been a while since I've been at Disneyland anyway. So really enjoyable. But then what happened for the first time ever, I feel like Elsa now singing, but, is that who sings that for the, I don't know. But so, no, that's Anna who sings that. But so the ride stopped moving. I mean, that's happened before. But so we get into the part of the ride about halfway through where you're in a big room. It looks like your indoors, outdoors thing. The pillaging, the pirates and the pillages have gone on. And you get to the big musical number where there's like, you come into the room on the left-hand side are a few different pirates and they're singing yo ho ho. Then up ahead are more pirates in different places on a bridge. Off to the left in the housing. Maybe I don't know if that's when there's one off to the right with the pigs, but, and they're all singing this song and it's layered. But so we stopped moving there right in front of the ones that were singing with a donkey that sings, I think, or a mule. And we were stuck there for a while. And I mean, we didn't have, video cameras of those. I don't think it would have caught the moment, but long enough that you were able to like really, notice that you say, wow, I don't even know, what you could do with, what is that? In something is a mother of invention or whatever. Because so each of these auto magic characters has their own speaker system, independent audio tracks, I believe. And they're all synced up and it really works as far as like binaural, like, I mean, this is not binaural because you're really there. But so you're listening to them and the quality of the audio is like we were just stuck there long enough that, and then we moved forward a little bit. Then they kept making announcements, stay seated, just wait, we're working on it. Then they started making announcements that they were going to have to do a full reset or a restart or something, like just like with your modem or whatever. Did you try to restart it? And so at some point after that, we started flowing backwards, which I don't know if that was just the lack of forward water or what, but we flowed backwards back to the Three Men and the Donkey or whatever, where eventually we stopped moving again. We listened to more of the music. No, we were all in good spirits, so it wasn't like, oh boy, but it was maybe 15 minutes of maybe even 20 minutes of sitting. And then we finally got moving again, concluded that ride. Oh, yo-ho-ho, Scooter wrote, we were stuck in the yo-ho-ho room. Boat went backwards, and that's the truth. And then we said, let's call it a day, except for the tween. She said, what else are we going to go on? We said, well, let's call it a morning, not a day. And we said, no, let's go back. Let's get the bus. Let's take a little nappy poo. And so we all we walked to the bus stop. We got the bus at 10:47. We were waiting for the bus, according to Scooter's notes. And then we went back to our hotel. And because we had a room, there was no stress of like, oh, well, we're going to rest. And by like, according to Scooter, between 11:15 and 11:30, he was asleep because I think he does like a little reading to help him fall asleep. The next time I'll do another episode soon about this, continuing this trip. But I could tell you one teaser was at 2:30. Scooter was already drinking soda, unlimited soda, because I could see that's his next note. So, yeah, so I'll talk to you again soon, my friends. Oh, my friends, so good to be back in your ears, taking you on a little journey with your friend Ray. Good night. All right, I want to thank everybody who became a patron recently. I want to thank Mark, Annika, and Becca. Thanks, and good night. Thanks to Ann, Jill, and Kayla. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Thanks to Jonah, Christy, and Pippa. Thanks, and good night. Duncan, Mark, and Timothy. Thanks, and good night. Aaron, Faith, and Sherry. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Tracy with an I, Carolyn, and Carrie with a K. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Emma, Tara, and Allison. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Brett, Morgan, and James. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Rachel, Katie, and Aaron. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Rita, Leanne, and Seno. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Carrie, Trish, and Georgia. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Midori, Jacob, and Heather. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Rachel, Sarah, and Max. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Evelyn, Isabel, and Brianna. Thank you, thanks, and good night. JC, Anastasia, and Kristen. Thanks, and good night. And Kendra S. and B. Martin. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody who supports the show. Sleep With Me actually exists as a free podcast because people support the show directly on Patreon, support the sponsors, get the merch. And the show grows by people simply spreading the word. So just sharing the podcast is a gigantic help, too. What else? Here's a podcast actually I wanted you to know about. You could check out Knife Out Presents. Hey, everybody, Scoots here, tucking you in and letting you know if you're listening and you're saying, I want a more comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me, but I also want the Sleep With Me logo on it. You could check out our Sleep Phones merch store at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones. It's all sleep phones, the whole lineup with the Sleep With Me, Sleep With Me logo on there. Pretty cool. You could get there at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones and then use our promo code Sleep With Me. And you'll get an extra $5 off. How do you want me to? You want me to tuck you in there? Move it? Move those blankets? Okay, how about that? Okay, you got it. Good night.